Javier Trujillo. He is a Full Metal Dojo assassin. Well, you know, a lot of people know you, man. So what's going
Yeah,
on?
man, it's awesome, dude. It's awesome to hear. Yeah, dude. Like I said, things are great. Shoot, this is the last. Yesterday was my last hard day of training camp, last hard sparring session, and I felt great, man. Felt on fire, dude. Just everything that I wanted to do is working. You know, all the game plans, all the scenarios that I think are going to happen. I think I'm ready for it. I'm prepared, and I'm excited, man. I think I'm going to put on a fight of the night showing, dude. I'm really excited to display what I've been doing for the last 3 months since the last time we talked, man.
You you said you've been incorporating a lot of different stuff, right? So like what
Yeah.
exactly, you know, have you been incorporating without revealing too much?
Honestly, man, I've been like I was talking with Tommy one day, and we were just like kind of working on some new training stuff, and just for my striking, I felt like it has to catch up with my jiu-jitsu and my wrestling. And so he's just like, man, dude, you know what you should do is you should go learn some salsa, dude, and learn some footwork. So I started taking salsa classes just to learn how to stay light on my feet, man. And been doing that for about 3 months, actually getting pretty good. But I noticed that my striking has just raised up significantly, just knowing how to properly move and stay light on your feet. So I felt like my just, I don't know how to describe it, just like my level of understanding, like distance and footworking and timing and rhythm has just gone up so much, man. And my striking has just shown, dude. I'm lighting people up at the gym, and just kind of almost a newfound confidence in it. So, man, I'm just super excited. And I've been doing b-boying.
Oh,
Doing a lot of
really?
breakdancing, dude. Hell yeah, dude. And I didn't know in Korea is like the place for b-boying, dude. So I kind of want to make a trip just to see, man.
Yeah, you better get
Just
over here, man. You better see
hell yeah,
what's
dude.
popping out here.
Yeah, and that's been helping my jujitsu out a lot, dude. I've been drawing a lot of inspiration from when they start doing their groundwork, man, or the bottom rock they call it. So you got your top rock and your bottom rock, and just really been incorporating a lot of these movements into my jujitsu. It just makes it super fun, man, more than anything. So that's what has been new with me, at least training wise. And then after this fight, I didn't want to do it yet, but what I've been doing to like learn all this, like the dancing, the b-boying, and then eventually I'm going to get into trying a little bit of parkour and stunting.
Mhm.
But I've just been meeting a lot of other people here in Bangkok that are dance instructors, that are parkour guys, that are, you know, body weight exercise, capoeira dudes. And what I'm doing is, I'll show you my jiu-jitsu, you show me some breakdance, you show me some salsa, you show me whatever. And I've just been kind of trading techniques and different drills. And yeah, man, it's just been fun, dude. These last 3 months, I've just, I guess I would say the theme is trying to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, man. Just trying new things that I know that I'm not good at, that I suck, and then just trying to work through it. And it's been
Yeah,
awesome, dude.
you were just saying that you're meeting people out there. They're from different parts of you know, like different parts. I guess they have different jobs or different focuses in their life, and you just go out there and you said that you exchange. It's like an exchange of goods. You know,
Yeah, man.
that's very unique because you don't really have that much, you know, in the world nowadays of people just kind of like exchanging. Like I'll teach you this and you can teach me that. It's always about money, money, money. You know what I mean? That's what the world has turned to. But where you're at, what you're doing is you're kind of exchanging the goods, and it's good. It's good to hear, man, that that's still out there somewhere.
Yeah, man. And I think it's just meeting the right people, you know, and that are willing to do that, and because also they're kind of like-minded as where they want to, you know, extend their skill sets and drawing in from these other disciplines. I think all these people that I'm meeting, they're all basically people who are in pursuit of just trying to master movements. And like I'm trying to do it too, but it's just through fucking hitting people in the face. It's the only difference, you know,
Choking them.
or strangling them or choking them, dude, you know. And it's been fun, you know. It's been interesting too to see where like you can draw inspiration from, and like especially learning this right now. Like I get what Conor McGregor is talking about. I get what a lot of these guys like Guido Portal, like it makes sense, you know. And but at the same time, I'm still trying to draw it into what I know. I'm still trying to draw it into combat. And so it's been super fun, dude. I feel like my physique has changed because of it. I feel stronger. You know, also I've been actually today I just did yoga. I've also been doing yoga in exchange for teaching this guy, my friend Matt, jiu-jitsu. Same thing, man. It's just trying to gather as much different movements, as much from drawing from inspiration from different disciplines, and it's just been fun, dude. I just feel like I'm just on another level because of it, you know.
It seems like you know, everybody's different. You know, everybody's body's different. And
Yeah.
you said you're using salsa, you're using yoga, you're using, what did you say? Not parkour, but what were you saying earlier?
Breakdancing right
Break
now.
dancing. You know, like
Yeah.
I guess you got to find what's going to help you, because maybe that Ido Portal shit is not going to work for certain fighters. And even if they try it for 10 years, it might not really help them that much. But you found something that you can incorporate into your training that helps you. And you said that you already saw improvements within 3 months. That's real fast. You know what I mean? Usually it takes people like 6 months to a year to see any kind of improvements in anything.
Well, I think it's also the way you learn, man. I mean, fortunately, like my very first discipline of martial arts was I would say wrestling. Wrestling kind of teaches you the learning process. Like my coach used to say, I'm not just teaching you how to wrestle, I'm teaching you how to learn. And you know, as long as I put it in that frame that he had taught me, I applied it to jiu-jitsu, applied it to boxing, applied it to Muay Thai, and it's worked for me. Especially when you're a mixed martial artist, you have to understand that you have to learn very quickly, because the game it progresses so fast, and what was hot, you know, what was working now 2 months later doesn't work, you know. I mean, everybody's exchanging ideas through the internet and through how I'm doing it, and so I think the biggest trait is not only just athleticism, but the ability to learn quickly and become what am I saying, like become great at it, you know. So I think most of these MMA guys got to understand that you got to learn the process of learning in order to be a successful fighter. You know, it's not just athleticism, punches and kicks, but it's also your mind out there. That's what you're using. You know?
Hey, did you always have the beard?
No, dude, I just had it.
I was just noticing,
No,
like, I was like, this dude has something different about his face, and I was like, oh shit, he's
yeah,
got a beard now. Like, you've been going hard, huh?
yeah, man, just, you know, not really caring, just trying to just do this thing, man. I like I said, dude, like this last year, you know, so much has changed in my own life from where this was becoming a hobby to now this is what I do. And just kind of looking back on it, man, I'm super grateful. I know I'm in a very lucky position. Not a lot of guys get to this position, so I want to take full advantage of it and see what I can accomplish with it. You know, with this next win, you know, there's talk for big things for me. You know, hopefully in some of the bigger organizations. You know, so I'm just excited, man, and I'm just super grateful for this chance in my life. You know, I'm gonna get to do what I want, man. How many people get to say that? You know?
Yeah,
So
for real. Like
yeah,
you know, like it's cliche to say, but you're living the dream.
yeah,
You know, like
like
most people
literally,
can't
dude.
say that.
Yeah, man. I mean, at 27 years old, I'm doing what I want to do. You know, my own like there's this Bob Dylan quote that like stuck with me ever since like high school, dude, which is a man's success should be determined not by how much money he has, but when he gets up in the morning and he goes to bed at night, and in between he does exactly what he wanted to do. And that's how I feel right now, dude. You know?
Well, that, I guess that is happiness.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I've been extremely happy, you know, and man, I'm just excited, man. I'm just excited for this fight, you know. Now it's getting closer and closer. Just
Yeah,
can't wait.
talking about like opportunities, you know, you're saying that, you know, you're undefeated. If you get this next one out of the way that you want to get it through, you know, there's a lot of opportunities. You know, I seen that you have a like a friend. Is he your friend, Benito
Yeah, Benito
Lopez?
Lopez. Yes,
Is
man.
he a good friend of yours or a teammate or somebody? Because I saw that
Yeah, former
yeah.
teammate and a really good friend of mine, man. I was fortunate enough to train with him. We were both amateurs together for a long time out of a standalone MMA.
Mhm.
Really, really good camp, dude. Like, that's why I'm not very too nervous. I know this next guy I'm fighting has wrestling background, and it doesn't really bother me because that standalone camp, everybody was a wrestler. And me and Benito like just got into the amateurs around the same time. And he was super young. He was like 16, 17 sparring with us. And some of these guys are like in late 20s or almost, you know, early 30s. And just savages came out of that gym. And you're seeing it now, you know, with him making the UFC. Did you see his contender fight, dude?
Yeah, he was. That's a big platform right there.
Yeah.
To be on that Dana White Tuesday Night Contenders, you know, series. It's huge for him, you know, because everybody gets to see him before he actually gets into the UFC. And yeah, like it's, you know, it's kind of a tricky thing, that show, because I did watch the show a few times on Fight Pass, and not everybody gets signed. So he was very fortunate to be able to get signed and picked up by the UFC. So how did you feel about
that's
that?
where he belonged. Dude, it just motivated me. It inspired me even more to know that that one of my close friends, one of the guys who you know, it's funny. He used to call me his big brother just because we were the only two Mexicans on the team together. It was funny, man. But yeah, I found a lot of inspiration from him, man. To see him go out there and achieve what he wanted to do. I've known him since he was 14, and this is all he ever wanted to do. This is all he ever wanted to achieve, was to fight in the UFC, and now he's there. And it makes me feel good to know that, hey, man, if my boy can make it, I can too.
Yeah, it's always good to see people that you have come up with succeed, you know, and you're doing your thing over there in Thailand,
Yeah.
and you're on your way to succeeding in your way. You know, everybody has their different path, but the end goal is pretty much the same, is to become a champion, right?
Yeah, man, become a champion, you know, get into one of these big organizations and just show like, hey, man, this is where we're from. You know, we're NorCal guys. We've always been savages. You know, you got guys like the Diaz brothers out of that same area, and, you know, Jake Shields, Gilbert Melendez. You know, there's always animals out of that. But granted, he's fighting out of Team Alpha Male now. And, I mean, shoot, my friend, our old teammate off of Standalone, the guy who was like the top dude was Brandon Rossetti. I don't know if you ever heard of him, but he made it on to The Ultimate Fighter with Conor McGregor and Uriah Faber. And I think that also motivated me 2 years ago, just to see him get on that platform. You know, so
yeah, seeing like the guys you know.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Seeing the guys you know and you've been in the room with, you grinded with them, and they're on like national television, and you're watching them, it must give you chills, you know, like you're on your way with those guys.
Yeah, you know, because you can see that sparring with me, training with me has helped them get to that level. Granted, now it's almost been since I've trained with Benito about four years now, but it's still good to know that, yeah, man, like where we come from and how we train is paying off. You know? I think those things start out like, you know, if you want a strong tree, you got to make sure that the sapling is taken care of, you know. And that's what's being done at that gym.
For sure, man. Now you are training, you know, with Tommy Hayden, who is the lightweight champion of Full Metal Dojo, right? Shout out to John Nutt. You know, if you say Full Metal Dojo, you got to shout out to John Nutt.
Yeah. Hell yeah, dude. I love that guy. I was just talking to him not too long ago, too. Yeah, bro.
Yeah, so Tommy, you know, you guys have both, this is your second time training for Full Metal Dojo together, fighting on the same night, right? I remember the first time was when I was there at Full Metal Dojo 13 when Tommy was fighting for the championship belt, or not even the belt, the sword.
Yeah, against Will Chope.
Yeah, against Will Chope. It's right there in the corner. You see it?
Yeah.
You see it in the back?
Nice, Steve. Yeah.
I had to snatch that one.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's a dope ass poster.
I don't know why they don't sell the posters, dude. I think all the posters are awesome. They should put them up on their website or something, man.
For sure. This is a collector's item right here, man. Like you can't find this shit.
Yeah, dude. Some epic record shit happened at that event.
Exactly. You know, so you and Tommy are training together, and this is your second camp together that you're training for the same event. How does that help both you guys?
Just because like me and him, I think we have the most experience on the team. We can, if we're sparring together or we're watching each other, it's really easy to kind of see, like, break down, okay, man, this is where you could probably work on something. This is where you could adjust. And, yeah, just because we have so much experience, the adjustments can be made really quickly. And
So
plus, like coming from Tommy's background, it's kind of more of an old school, but I think that's necessary at times. You just kind of learn how to push through when you don't want to, you know.
so what, like the younger guys in your camp, you know, when they see you guys getting ready for, you know, your fights and stuff like that, are they inspired by you guys, do you think, or are they just following what you're doing, or how do you think they're reacting to what's going on right now? Because it's a big time for your gym, you know what I mean? Like this
Yeah.
event is huge.
Yeah, man. I mean, I can see with some of these younger guys that, yeah, they do take inspiration from it. But also, they take inspiration, like a lot of our Thai MMA fighters take a lot of inspiration from Shannon as well, and Rika. And you can definitely see that. I can see a lot of these guys, some of the amateurs that are definitely emulating his style, which is fun, man. I try and pick his brain to learn a lot of his striking because it's very unique. He incorporates kung fu. He's been doing a lot of crazy. I don't want to give him any little secrets away. I'm super excited for his next fight, but he's throwing some very unorthodox stuff. And now that he's been weightlifting, he has power behind his shots. And yeah, man. I mean, I draw inspiration from that guy too. It's amazing. But I would say that I have a few younger kids that come into my jiu-jitsu class, and now they're kind of starting to join on the team action. And it's kind of funny. I could see 2 or 3 of them. They kind of emulate my style, dude. It's kind of cool to see, you know. You know, I've been with some of these guys coaching now for about a full year, and it's been super rewarding, man. Like this is my first time really instructing, and it's really rewarding to kind of see you started with these guys a year ago, and they're just getting the understanding of jiu-jitsu or MMA, and then you see a year progress, and you can kind of see their not only their techniques, but like their personality kind of come out and what they try and use. And it's been super fun, man. And seeing how happy they can be, just the ability to express themselves either in MMA or in jiu-jitsu. And it's fun to kind of be a part of that journey with them.
Yeah, going back to the coaching and being an instructor, you know, that when you become an instructor, you become, you know, a coach. You also become a mentor for a lot of people, right? In the gym,
Yeah.
on your team. And how do you handle that? You know, like being a mentor is not an easy thing because people are watching you all the time. It's kind of like becoming a father in a way where you're like your kid is watching you all the time, you know, so your guys are
Yeah.
watching you. And do you sometimes catch yourself like, you know, I have to act a certain way because I am an instructor, because I am a coach to these kids, and that some of those kids are kind of young, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, man. I mean, there is the way I see it is that I'm just passing along what was passed along to me, because there was guys my age now who did the same thing for me, like when I was 17, 18. You know, they took me under the wing, they showed me some stuff, gave me life advice. But I don't just dish it out. If somebody asks me for something, that's when I give them my 2 cents. You know, and yeah, I mean, yeah, you just got to conduct yourself a little bit different as a coach, as a leader. Same thing in firefighting, man. You know, you're held to a certain standard when you're a leader in any position, and that's essentially what's going on when you're a coach. Same thing, you know.
Well, you brought up the firefighting part. I want to kind of go into that a little bit more in detail because this year was pretty bad in
Yeah,
California.
still bad.
Yeah, it's still bad, right? It's still going on.
Still,
And I remember when I was in California many years back when I was younger, and you know, the fires have been going on forever. Like every year it happens,
yeah.
right? It's like
Well, it's
like
just natural in the Western states, man.
yeah.
It's just as common as a freaking tornado in the Midwest. It's just as common as, you know, freaking hurricanes. That's just what happens in the Western states. I mean, the natives knew that a long time ago. It's just that these people still built houses where you're not supposed to build houses. You know? So now you're just seeing the repercussions of that. Also, why they're getting so bad is because of old policies from the early 1900s where the fires were to keep them small, keep them tight. And because of that, you get these overgrowths, these forest areas where you got like a dead and down, a lot of old trees. And naturally, the fire is supposed to go through there and burn it so these new saplings can grow and you reintroduce nutrients to the ground. But what we did was that we kept them small, so you build up these huge fire loads, and this is why you're seeing a lot of these super fires and these fire, like, I remember my when I used to be a hotshot, I remember my captain had said something in 2012 where he's like, well, every year now, the fire behavior is extreme. What he meant by that was when he was my age coming up, a fire, when you got called out to a fire, maybe a big one, you were only on it for 2 or 3 days and it was done. Now, they're months. You could be on the same fire for an entire month and go back home because you need so you can only be out for 3 weeks total before you need what we call 2 days of R&R, like rest and relaxation. And my old hotshot crew, American River, shout out, but they told me they went to Montana. We were out there for 3 weeks, went back home to California, and then went back to the same fire. And that's just nuts to me. I haven't had that experience yet, but it's crazy. And then right now in Sonoma County, they're just devastating, dude. And like, this is right now, it should be the wind down of the season. Like, season should be done, but it's not, dude. It's still picking up. And these guys, like, I don't know how they're keeping it together, because by this time of the season, you're kind of broken, you're kind of tired, dude. I mean, it's the greatest endurance sport or event that somebody could be a part of, man. And these guys are doing it. They're pushing hard, you know. So much love to all my guys out there that keep going, man. Because I mean, shit, it's almost November and stuff's still popping off in California, man.
Well, you know, like I said so earlier, like when I was out there in California, I used to hear that like some assholes would go out there and start fires on purpose in the mountains. And these are the rumors that I would hear, like, of course, fires start naturally, with in certain ways. But
yeah, lightning is usually
yeah.
one.
But then they would say, like I said earlier, some asshole would go out there and light flares and just toss them into the mountain somewhere and just start these fires. And I was thinking, like, is that true? Because I never would like hear it like on the news, but that's the rumors that I would hear about some of these huge fires that started.
It depends, man. I mean, there are cases where that happens, man. Like I took a fire investigation course a couple years ago, and I remember them talking about one situation where this guy he had rigged up a catapult, and what he did was he would take cow turds and he would pour gasoline on them and light them on fire and just drive his truck and have the catapult in the back where his bed is, and would just launch these things in the middle of these fields. Dude, people do weird shit, man. That's what I've learned in firefighting, especially when you're talking about like arsony and all that. People just
probably some meth head or something, right?
But some people they just like it triggers something in their mind, dude.
Pyromaniacs or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
Pyromaniacs, dude. They get off from it, you know. So and then this guy got away with it for a long time until somebody had to physically see him do it. But like when you're coming up on an investigation, you find this origin of the fire, you would just see this burnt out cow turd and you'd just be confused on how this thing started. And then like there's other guys, like if you want to talk about like city department, there was one guy in Los Angeles County who was, I believe he was a chief. And what he would do so they could rack up overtime was he would smoke a cigarette and like put it in a grocery store. Apparently, if you light like a potato, if you're out in the woods and you got a bag of Lay's potato chips, dude, you could start a fire. So, something about the oil, they burn up. So, or like hot Cheetos, same thing. So he would leave a burnt cigarette that would burn down, and he would leave. So that would give him about 10 minutes of time. And when it would hit the bags, the whole chip aisle would just catch on fire. Fuck. And so they would call in the fire department so you could get some overtime money, And then they started correlating that. How come this dude is always first on scene? Like, why is he always here?
What a dummy.
Together, and then all of a sudden, the fires from that year after he got arrested dropped significantly.
Yeah,
things happen like that. But honestly, man, what's the most common one is gunfire. When I was a captain out in Oregon, man, that was the most common problem. Was people would go out in the woods and they'll shoot, and maybe they'll hit it in an old punky log, and that thing will just heat up and then just start a huge thing like that. That's a really common one.
Oh, I didn't know that. Like, because a lot of people go out to the woods and just shoot. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a very common thing that they don't think about. A bullet will hit a piece of wood and spark a fire. That's not in their
Yeah,
mind when they're out there practicing. They're just out there just blasting guns and having a
yeah,
good
exactly.
time, you know? So,
Yeah,
yeah, I
and then
guess,
some of these guys, they use these targets that have white phosphorus in it. The guy who designs them says that they're not flammable, but like if you were to, you know, I think what it is that they might not be flammable, but I think some guys like to, all right, well, this is cool. What if I put a little gasoline behind it and see how big the thing can go? And then all of a sudden it's out of control, you know? Just shit like that, man, is super common. Yeah.
maybe they've been watching that Russian guy on YouTube too much. You know that Russian guy that just
Oh,
tests all the
yeah,
guns?
dude. The guy who has the tank. Did you see him order food driving a tank? You know,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
drive through. Yeah, dude. Yeah,
What
yeah.
happened to that guy, man? That I heard
I
that
don't,
dude was in like Georgia or something like that.
he's in Georgia, just some
Yeah.
crazy. Probably not even Russian, dude. He's
No,
just
he's
telling you some
not.
crazy.
He was faking the accent the whole time.
uh, that's hilarious, dude.
Yeah, but I think people are trying to copy his ass all the time, you know, like
Oh, hell
trying to
yeah.
be a cool guy or something. But yeah, you know, those fires are terrible, man, because it happens all the time, and people's lives are destroyed because of those fires. Like their whole houses
Yeah,
are
there's
burned
people's
down.
homes, man.
Yeah.
That's hard. Like when you have to go through an area and you have to ask people to evacuate their homes, and that's some people. That's all they got, man. And then you're telling them you only have so much time, so they only grab a few things, and then they just pray that it's still there. I mean, we try and do everything we can to save their houses, man. You know, there's things every year in the winter time that people could do for preventive wise, because sometimes like you can't always save it because maybe they have overgrown trees, or maybe they have a shed that has a bunch of, you know, gasoline and fuel, or some crazy chemicals that once fire hits them, dude, it just creates something. And sometimes it's just sad that we just don't have the time. You know, if we had enough time before the fire hits, we could save every house, but that's not the case. You know,
So
but yeah,
is wind your worst enemy out there? Wind?
wind and terrain.
Like what kind of
So
terrain?
So there are three really dangerous things, I think I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, dude. Is a box canyon, a saddle, and then basically anything that's steep, right? Because fire runs naturally up, like, you know, it just can go. And so if you're up on a steep hill and that fire, that increases the speed of it, and you're working below it, which you shouldn't do. There's certain like protocols and procedures that, like, once, like, cutting line in a box canyon, probably not the smartest idea. You know, so we have to find ways to work around these obstacles, you know. And that's what gets fun about the job. You get really creative. You gotta do some interesting stuff, dude. But yeah, terrain, box canyons, saddles, and just steep terrain. Usually things also on a southwestern aspect, which I mean is that because it gets the most amount of sun, so it's usually drier. And those are your foremost deadly, and wind, and then lastly it's wind driven fires, which is man, dude, anything above 40, you just got to stay out of the way and let it do its thing. You know, 40 miles an hour, that is.
Do you when you see, you know, stuff happening and you know you got a lot of guys that you are close with that are still fighting fires, do you miss it, or do you kind of, you know, it's kind of like a soldier that goes to war you know, with their crew,
Yeah,
right? It's kind of, does it
yeah,
feel
man.
like that to you?
Yeah, absolutely, dude. I was reading the Sebastian Junger's book called Tribe, and he described that very well with with military guys. And the thing is that when you're with a group of guys and you have one goal objective to achieve, and you have to overcome adversity, you create a deep bond with those people. Because I have to rely to the guy on my left and the guy to my right to be keeping his eyes out too, just in case when I'm working, I'm not seeing something. And there's a level of trust that has to be built, because all of us got wives, all of us got girlfriends, we got family, friends, parents, and moms, and we all want to come home. And I want them to come home. You know, when I was on the hot shots, dude, for 6 months, I've spent more time with these 19 other guys than I've ever spent with my family or any other close friends. And you really get to know people, and because there's no distractions, you're out in the middle of nowhere. You got no phone, you ain't got no nothing, so you just got each other, you know, to entertain each other. Yeah, dude, it sucked. Like this year, especially, there was a lot of fatalities in Region 5, which is California National
Mhm.
Forest. And, you know, just talking with some of my friends this season and just seeing where they've been at and how tired they are at some points. Yeah, man, I get, I get like, I want to be out there, dude. It's there's no other feeling outside of it, you know. Like once you do a fire season, dude, like life is easy. Life is so easy, you know, outside of that job, you know, and you appreciate things so much more. You appreciate people, you appreciate a warm shower, you know, appreciate a nice bed. And yeah, man, the thing, honestly, the people that I've met and worked with, I think are some of the most courageous, most hard. Like I've seen some people do some amazing things, man. And you know, those guys are my heroes, dude. Those guys are tough. There are days when you're working 32 hours to just try and stop a fire. There's no sleep, there's no break. And you got to find it in you, and you got to, you know, help the dude to your left, help the dude to your right to keep pushing. Lack of sleep. We're really tired, dude. You maybe morale's low, so we got to fucking chip some jokes at each other just to keep it up. And yeah, man, I think like, you know how like the Diaz brothers like doing all these ultras. I think this is the ultimate ultra marathon, dude. Like the mental toughness that I've got from it and witnessed from other people, man, dude. Like you listen to the last Joe Rogan with this lady who did this Moab run.
No, I haven't listened to it yet. I want to, bro.
Yeah. Like all these wildland guys, especially on my hotshot crew, where dude, that's what they do in the off season. They run 100 Ks, 50 Ks, like nothing. Some of them, dude, are such savages. They'll have a fucking case of beer, smoke a pack of cigarettes, and fucking smash these races. This is how like mentally tough some of these guys I know are, man. And that's just super inspiring, dude. Because it's like, man, if Ben can do this, man, then shit, I better do it too. I'm a fucking 10 years young. I got to keep up. Yeah, but it's but the mental toughness, dude, is insane that you get from that job, you know.
So like, you know, the mental toughness you can incorporate into now your new job or, you know, your new career, which is fighting. But what other aspects have you incorporated into fighting from your firefighting job?
Just like actually what I used a long time ago, and it was only because I heard John, what's it, Jackson MMA. They use what we call in firefighting AAR, which is an after-action review. So after every fight, apparently, what they started doing is they incorporated that same procedure in fighting. It's like, okay, what happened? Okay, all right, this is what happened. What was planned? Did it go the way we planned? No. All right, well, how do we make adjustments for next time and make it better? So you can review your performance, or I could say for my sparring sessions, my jiu-jitsu sessions, my whatever it is, and I can find the holes in my game just as we can find the holes in our plan of attack on the fire. And that's one thing I could say I've definitely picked from my years of firefighting.
Do you record all your sparring sessions and your sparring sessions? Do you record them and review them on video?
Yeah, and then I also I have, dude, like it's funny. I brought them from back from the States, but I have every journal and logbook since I was 17 years old. And I have a process where I write everything down, and that's how I also kind of keep track on where my game is going and how I'm developing and finding those holes in it and trying to make an adjustment.
Yeah, those journals are going to be so, like, they're useful now, but they're even in the future, they're going to be so useful in ways that I think you'll never figure out until many years down the line, you know, like,
yeah, man.
You know, recording things is so important for people that they don't do it, but they need to start doing it. I'm glad you're doing it, man, because that's probably helping you a lot.
Yeah, man, because you know what's fun about it is that it's an instant reference to something that I know works personally for me. Maybe I want to start lifting more weights to get stronger or bigger. When was the best training camp that I had? Oh, okay, I'm going to pick that up. It's like, boom, there, that's the workout I need to do. I know that's what works. Or maybe because I'm getting older, maybe that thing doesn't work anymore. So now I have to make an adjustment. And that's what I have, man, for 8, 9 years now, 10 years. 10 years now of just info, and it's kind of fun just to look back on, just to see how far you've come, you know, and what your goals were then, and did I achieve them? And what's cool to say is that yeah, I have.
Yeah, you know, like I do a little jiu-jitsu myself, right? Nothing too special, but then you know, you go, like, I'm a blue belt, so I go into some gyms and then they're teaching certain moves, right? And they're like, oh, you know, you probably already know this move, so you probably don't have to, you know, they kind of have this attitude nowadays in jiu-jitsu academies where like if you're a certain belt, you might not need to learn this, or you might not, because it's like a beginner's move. But in my mind, right, I don't have that attitude. My attitude is whatever you're teaching, I'm going to practice it no matter what, even if I might know it or not. Because why? I might not even practice it for a long time. Just because I've learned it before doesn't mean I still know how to do it, you know, because the body is a tricky thing, right? And the mind is also a tricky thing. So those journals actually help you with that, right?
Hell yeah, dude. You keep a log of what I have done, like just for jiu-jitsu alone, man, I have books and books and books of just different chains that I've chained together. And now that, like, I used it for instructing when I first started out, because it was a good reference point on, okay, what was I learning when I was a blue belt? All right, I'm going to take that. I'm going to show these. And because of it, I've actually learned it a lot deeper. And there are things that I thought I discarded just because at the time, maybe physically or my skill set wasn't prepared for it. And now I use it all the time. There's certain moves where it's like, wow, dude, somebody said it great the other day, you know, with all this stuff that's going on in my life. There's somebody I hadn't talked to in almost like 8 years. And they're like, dude, it's amazing to see, you know, I saw you at the beginning of this journey, and now you come full circle. And that's what's happening. It's not only just happening in my life, but in martial arts as well too. You know, these things are coming back around. It's fun, man. Like I said, I'm just having a blast.
Seems like it, man. Just seems like you're in a good place. But let me find out, your books are like Bruce Lee shit. You know what I mean? You got like little drawings and shit. Like,
well,
they
like
do.
That?
You got it up.
They do.
Okay,
yeah, man.
okay.
That's when I first started out, man. That was like my hero, dude. You know, my brother, his hero is Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like mine was Bruce Lee. You know, I had the Tao Jeet Kune Do, dude, when I was 16. I used his strength and conditioning program to push me through wrestling. Like he was the first person who understood circuit training and hit training, and yeah, man. I mean, I draw a lot of inspiration from him. That's what I'm doing, man. Is I'm taking what's useful and discarding what's useless, and then I'm making it my own. And
you know, he has one of the greatest quotes of all time. You know, the water quote.
Oh yeah, man. Feel like water, dude.
Yeah, like who thinks of that? You know, like that's a great mind. You know, like to me, he's like he was a 20th century philosopher.
Yeah.
You know, in a body of a movie star.
Yeah. But all these great martial artists were like, I like to read a lot, like from Masashi Miyamoto, dude. I mean, he's the same thing. He's a guy who found enlightenment through fucking murdering people. You know?
Beautifully.
And then, beautifully, yeah. You know, and he found like self-discovery through that. You know, and Bruce Lee, when he was injured, he was doing a certain particular, like it's called a morning. It's a good morning stretch, and he was doing it with a bunch of weight, and then he ended up fucking up his back, right, bedridden for I think almost a year. And in between that, since he physically couldn't use his body, he started reading a lot of philosophy books like Taoism, right? Reading about Krishnamurti, who's a really fun guy to kind of. I think that's where he got his inspiration for like all this be like water, you know, kind of empty your mind, be formless, because that's what Krishnamurti always inspired to. And yeah, and if I can't physically do something, then I have to be here, you know, and that's where I kind of first like got into it, man. I mean, you kind of need that because especially if you're trying to pursue this as a martial artist, you're gonna have to overcome a lot of adversity. You're gonna have to overcome a lot of obstacles and a lot of setbacks that are gonna happen in your life. And a nice way to do it is, fortunately, we can have these conversations with these great people, and either be through books. I mean, now with like YouTube, you can just listen to a talk that they give, and you can have a conversation with these people like where, you know, they've been down this path before, and they're kind of showing you the way. I mean, that's experience is you learning on your own, but wisdom is learning from others. And that's what I love about it.
Yeah, for real, man. I agree with that, man. Like, to me, one of my favorite people to listen to, I don't know if you probably know this person, is Graham Hancock.
Yeah, hell
one
yeah,
of my
dude.
favorite people to listen to. That fool drops knowledge like crazy, dude. Like,
dude, I remember last year I read his new book, Magicians of the Gods, and I was freaking terrified of comets and asteroids for about 4 months. My girlfriend was just telling me, just shut the fuck up about the comets. It's like, no, you have no idea. You could just die. Yeah, dude. What do you like about it?
I just
what
love
comes to
that
mind?
he challenges people, man. Like he challenges the establishment of, you know, everything. Like he like Gobekli Tepe, like he breaks
Yeah.
that shit down, you know, like I love that shit. Like I love listening to him break those, you know, old structures, the megaliths, all that stuff is so interesting to me, which was never interesting when I was a younger kid. That's what's the
Yeah.
trip. Like those things never interested me in school, but now as an older, like an adult, you know what I mean, like a grown up, I listen to that and that is so interesting. Like history was never interesting when I was growing up, but history is like one of my favorite things to, you know, watch, you know, like
Definitely.
biographies. I love
Yeah.
biographies now. Like when I was a kid, I hated that shit, but I don't know
Who do you
why.
like? You reading it, or you watching things on them? Like,
Oh, I don't really read too much, but
uh-huh.
like I'm watching, you know, documentaries. That's mostly like my viewing that you know, like anything that I watch on like Netflix or something like that
Yeah.
is usually documentaries. You know what I mean? Unless it's like, you know, Narcos or some shit like that, right?
Yeah,
But
dude. You watching the new season? I think I'm like 4 episodes in right
yeah, I watched
now.
the whole thing already, you know what I mean?
Already, dude. Binge
Yeah.
watch it. Nice.
Yeah, you know,
Shoot.
I think I watched it in like a period of like 2 or 3 weeks, you know, because it drops all at one time. But you
Yeah.
know, like, did you watch Icarus?
No, I haven't yet. That's
Oh,
that
you got
documentary on the Russian steroids thing,
yeah,
right?
that shit is
Oh,
crazy, man. Like that shit will spark your mind right there. Like that shit will like have you thinking all kinds of crazy ways about the Olympics. But
oh yeah, dude. I mean, the Olympics itself is kind of crazy to think about. It's war without the weapons. That's what the countries are trying to display. Like, look at what we can accomplish with like the most advanced technology, the best training systems, and this is what we can do. So back off, you know, step off. I think that's what China tried to demonstrate in the last one, you know. And yeah, man, yeah, the Olympics is a freaking crazy thing, dude.
yeah. It is.
Taking
Like
like,
Icarus exposes all that stuff. So like I'm not gonna talk too much about it because you haven't watched it yet. But if
yeah,
you get some time, I really recommend that one. That one is good. Another one that most people might not, you know, like I told you, I like biographies. You know, I like, you know, documentaries about people. Is the one about the McAfee. You know, the McAfee antivirus for computer.
no,
The guy that invented that,
oh, the
John
McAfee,
McAfee.
yeah, dude. He's like on the run. Was it in Panama? What country is
Yeah,
he?
Belize. I think it's Belize.
Belize.
Oh,
That's
no,
right. That's right.
was it
No, I
Belize?
think you're right. It's a
Belize.
tiny ass country. Yeah.
Yeah, but that like watching documentaries and like delving into the life of someone like they're kind of like a genius, right? It's like kind of like
Right.
Steve Jobs or something like that. Those types of people, they always have something crazy about them. They always have something unique that is unexpected. And this guy, his story is crazy because he ran for president. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know he
The
ran for
last
president.
election.
I
He
thought
ran
it was just some rich dude who was hopped up on bath salts, man.
But he came back to the States after that murder stuff and he ran for
Yeah.
president. So he's not in jail or nothing. He's out there free doing his thing. But this story or this documentary delves into him going to Belize and before that, like becoming a millionaire. And then
Yeah.
there's some crazy shit in there, like about him. And then they
Damn,
actually
man.
have the girls that he kept on his
Yeah.
compound in the
Yeah, dude.
documentary talking and explaining like how he acted and what he did and shit like that. It's, man, I don't know. Should I tell you what's the crazy thing that he was doing?
Yeah.
All
Fucking tell
right, all
me,
right,
dude.
all right,
What's
all
up?
right, man. This is what he was
Spoiler.
doing, right? This is what
All
he
right.
was doing in Belize or wherever Central American country he was at. He had a compound, right? And he always had
Mm-hmm.
these young girls, you know, because over there money is, you know, like it's hard to get a job, you know, and stuff like that. So these
Yeah.
girls are getting treated to like these fancy dinners and living in this nice place.
Yeah.
And he would have a bunch of them. And you know what he would do is he would have a hammock, right? And this hammock had a hole on the bottom of it. Yeah. And these
Okay.
girls are telling the story, right? Not even one,
Okay.
many of them. And he would have them shit in his mouth.
Get the fuck out of here,
No,
dude.
I'm not.
I guess when you're that rich and you've been messing around with so many chicks, I guess you know nothing gets you off. So you got to just go extreme, man.
No,
Jesus.
like, when I was watching it, I couldn't believe that these girls were saying that, man. It wasn't even just one. It was like multiple girls were talking about the exact same thing.
How does one even begin that conversation? So you see that hammock there?
There's a hole on the bottom. You know what I mean? Like, what did you eat today? You know what I mean? Like, what
Yeah.
the fuck's going on with that?
Oh, did you eat corn? Oh, you ate fucking corn? Get the hell out of here. Oh, God,
Oh
dude.
man, but yeah,
Oh,
like that. That
sick
stuff.
fuck.
That stuff
Sick
is
fuck.
always somebody. There's always something weird about those people. And like going back to Bruce Lee, like he, there's always people always know him about the movies and like his like quotes and stuff like that. But if you really delve into his life, like what he did away from the camera, it's very, it's very unique in itself. Like you just told me, like he was doing this stretch and he was bedridden for a year. Like most people wouldn't
Yeah.
know that stuff. They only know about, the wah, that's all they know.
Yeah,
You know what I
man.
mean? So
You know why? You know why else I wanted to take up dancing? Because you know that Bruce Lee was a cha-cha champion, dude.
oh yeah, I think
He
I
was a
seen a
champion.
video of him in Hong Kong throwing
Yeah,
down on the dance
yeah,
floor.
dude. He fucking danced like a motherfucker too. That's why. And then I didn't notice, but when I started doing b-boying, like when I started breakdancing, a lot of inspiration came from guys like Bruce Lee. It came from like who else was it? Like Muhammad Ali. A lot of these combat athletes, and because they were men of color, men of ethnicity, like Bruce Lee, like we don't ever think about like historically, he was the first like not only Asian but ethnic guy on film that was kicking a white dude's ass. You've never seen that before. You've never seen that before, and that what that gig inspired everybody, man. And a lot of these guys who were into hip hop and breakdancing are come from ethnic backgrounds. And this was like the first time they said, "Holy shit, dude! We can be fucking the hero too, man." And but anyways, like how it jogged from b-boying is that like certain movement patterns that these guys do when they're doing top rock is the same as Bruce Lee's Tao Jeet Kune Do movements, and it tripped me the fuck out. And they're like, "Oh, dude, you know how to do that?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's a martial arts move." But it's crazy to see that, or like an ollie shuffle, same thing as shuffle stepping, man. And that's what's cool to see, notice.
Hey, are you taking wifey to the salsa dance classes?
Yeah, not yet. It was. I gotta train a little bit more to impress her.
Okay.
So, so
It's something that's in the cards in the future, right?
yeah, man, and it's nice to know. Now that I know how to lead a little bit more, getting a little bit better at that. So, but yeah, dude, like I said, like guys like Bruce Lee, it's just amazing. You gotta like for anybody out there that's trying to do anything, man, you just gotta find those people that you're aspiring to be like. And Bruce Lee was one of them for me. And it's like, all right, this guy learned how to dance. I want to learn how to dance. You learn how to do this, man. He's reading Taoist philosophy. He's reading shit on Krishnamurti. I'll go check it out and see what's all the hubbub. You gotta copy or aspire to whoever it is that inspires you.
Who are you reading right now? Like right now, somebody that most people probably might not know about. Could you explain somebody like that right now?
Like martial arts wise or just in general?
Just in general.
I just recently got done. Um, it's kind of funny, man, but like I said, I really, really like philosophy. Like when I was in high school, I thought that's what I wanted to go to school for. But then I had the teacher tell me something when he asked me what I wanted to major in college. And I was like, yeah, I want to major in philosophy. He told me, yeah, you can do with that. You can be a bartender / philosopher, assembly line worker / philosopher. You can keep questioning on why you're broke. so I was like, all right, dude, I'll keep it a habit, or I'll keep it like a hobby. And as of lately, I've been reading a lot of Albert Camus. He wrote this book called The Stranger that I just got done reading, and also reading this talk called No Excuses, which is just like a whole what do they call it, lecture on existentialism, which is just like the idea, like breaking it down, like existentialism is just hopeful nihilism. Does that make sense?
Fuck.
Yeah, dude. Like what it means is like, so let's just take one of the guys like Friedrich Nietzsche. He had proposed this famous quote saying that God is dead, which means like a lot of people think, oh, he's just anti-Christian, and it's like no. What he's trying to say is that like during his lifetime period, we were entering into this stage of the Enlightenment period, which is like when science and and the arts and all these things just started like, taking control over religion. We started discovering that like, hey, we're not the center of the fucking universe. There's technology was kind of starting to build things up with like industrialization. So these old ways, these old explanations about life and like were no longer necessary. So we killed God. We killed this Christian Judeo God by believing in the sciences, man, and mapping out the stars again. So at the time, that was the value system for majority of Europeans and Americans and all that. And what Nietzsche proposed is that if God is dead, and these old, basically, like what would I say, like principles of like Christianity or any religion, they're no longer needed. So let's wipe the slate clean, and we have to start anew, because these things no longer fulfill us. And then once we get further down the road, you get guys like Albert Camus, and you got guys like Sartre, who were saying that, if they're so like, let me break it down to you this way. So with science telling us that that God, God is no longer necessary, that we have all these medical advances right now, dude, like, all this craziness, like if we are now taking the role of this and realizing, like, in the grand scheme of things, is what I mean. It's like how big the universe is, it's indifferent to us. It means the universe doesn't care about my personal goals, my beliefs. It's just there, and I'm just in it. And if the universe is indifferent and doesn't care about anything I do, and like all the people that surround you and me, we're all just faking it. We think we know what's going on. We have these belief systems and these things that we identify ourselves. It could be our jobs, it could be our church that we go to, it could be, any of these things. And once you kind of realize that at the end of the day, all of it's for nothing, and you're just going to just go off into the distance. And if there is something afterwards, or if there ain't, it's really irrelevant to you in this life. So with that in mind, that means I have the freedom to choose to do whatever it is that I want with life. I make my own principles. I make my own, my buddy explained to me this way. We're all making our own scorecards in life, like for me right now, my scorecard in life is to punch as many people in the face as I possibly can, and try and make it in. That's how I value my life system. Maybe for you, man, it's just covering all this stuff, talking to different fighters, breaking out guys. That's how you rate your scorecard. Maybe there's some dude who fucking wants to save pandas. That's his thing, and it's not that it's right. It's not that it's wrong, but like hopefully you and me get to live at least 70 plus years in this life, that we enjoy it, man. That we're not trying to live the lives that our parents want us to live, or what society should tell you to do. It's like, at the end of the day, you got to live with yourself, and you got to be happy with it. And you have to understand that it's all up to you. It's your choice. Do you want to be the victim, or do you want to be the person who creates it? That's what and then Nietzsche says this thing, you're the Ubermensch. And then the Nazis and all that took this idea and tried to make it into this weird thing, but that's not what he was trying to say. What the Ubermensch is a man who has ascended all of these things, all of society's principle, all of family, whatever it is, and now has created his own principles, has chosen the life that he chooses. And there are two things that set you back in this life, and that is regret and resentment. And if you have either of those things in your life, you're not living an authentic life. You're not being the Ubermensch. You're not being the best version that you can be, because you're letting these things hold you down, like bricks, carrying a sack of bricks on your back. So just get rid of them.
Yeah, so it's basically yeah, well, that's all true, man. I believe, a lot of what you just said. It's all about living, in the moment, and not really chasing after the money, because that's what kind of leads to all the regret, resentment, is chasing something.
That's the scorecard that society wants us to live, is to chase that.
Well, that's ingrained into our minds since we were a little kid, even with the educational system. That's how they're, educating you to be a cog in the system instead of being.
Think about the education system in itself, man. Like, you went to school in the States, right?
Yeah.
Remember, right?
Yeah.
So think about how school is designed, especially in America. You're supposed to, you come in and there's a bell, right? That bell is just the whole school process is just to get you ready to work in a factory.
Exactly. The
That's all it
time,
is. A bell
9
is,
to
yeah,
5.
there's 9 to 5. You have a bell. All your desks are in a row, and then you have to pass along your papers because you're getting used to fucking doing that and moving it. And that's the old meaning. You're just, yeah, exactly, a cog in the wheel.
It reminds me of the Pink Floyd The Wall.
Yeah, dude, I love that.
You know, like the
Just
kids
turn
in the
this into
classroom, they
hamburger
have
meat.
no faces.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what they're trying to make people become, is a no face nobody, and you just go to a certain location and you just do what people tell you to do, and then you just go back home and you probably are fucking miserable, but it doesn't matter because you're doing what the society wants you to do. And that's the
Yeah.
total opposite of how you should live your life, right? You should live your life the way that's going to make you happy. And, you know, making you happy is also, you know, leads into like not hurting other people, you know, because some people might be happy hurting other people too. You know, that's
Well,
what's crazy.
that's the danger of the scorecard in the other direction. Let's take Jeffrey Dahmer. Jeffrey
Yeah.
Dahmer liked to collect heads. That's how he kept his scorecard. There's nothing wrong with it, nothing right with it. I mean, you and me think it's an evil thing to do, but in his mind, nah. You know, but that's the bad side of having freedom. Or not the bad side, but the consequences of having freedom and choice as a human being is that, I mean, essentially, like I said, in the grander scheme, the universe doesn't really care about good or evil or right or wrong, but it's up to you on how you feel about it. You know, how do I don't want to collect heads. I mean, I don't think you either, you know.
Fuck that.
Yeah, dude, and that's just how it is. That's how some people are wired, but you know that you have to be aware that's out there.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Las Vegas shooter too. That is a reminder of what you're just saying about the Jeffrey Dahmer thing. That guy that did the shootings, he planned it. And the crazy part is he's never had a criminal record or nothing. He never did anything bad in his life. And he was rich,
dude.
And
you get how much he detailed it, because like, you know, I'm a Nevada resident, like that's where like my family is and all that, and when that happened, man, and because like in Nevada, you know, Second Amendment rights is very strong, dude. Mm-hmm. People really believe in that out there. You know, I own guns myself back home, but to know that this guy planned it out so much, that he was planning out the trajectory of his bullets.
Yeah,
it's just insane, man. Like the intention behind it. I mean, what's nuts is how can you predict something like that? I think that's what terrifies people. That's what terrifies me the most. This guy has no history of mental illness. He has no quarrels. No, he's not part of some religious fundamentalist group. It was like, where does that come? Is it him realizing his existential moment that all this is for nothing and might as well do something? You know, that's a scary thing. That's a scary thing to think about.
But at the same time, his father was a serial bank robber that broke out of prison.
Yeah.
Did you see that? And then he, you know, his life was crazy too. His father's life was crazy, and he grew up in that chaos. And he most of his life he was basically normal and successful at what he does. And then you got his brother who just got busted for child porn.
For child porn, dude.
What the fuck is that, dude?
Yeah, I think there's more to that story for sure than what we're led to believe. But yeah, dude, I mean, I think also that sometimes some of these things are genetic, you know, like you
have it, but you don't even know you have it.
Yeah, you know it's inside you. You know, you what is that? I think it's a Christian quote. We live the sins of our fathers. So I think what that means is like, let's just take for like alcoholism. You come from a family that has really bad alcohol abuse. That's probably in you, but it depends on what you want to do with it. Do you continue down the same path, or do you try and morph it into something productive? You know, that drive, that addiction, or that mental craziness. Maybe that guy could have been an awesome musician. Maybe that guy could have done something, but he just didn't channel this dark side that's in all of us. He didn't channel it into a proper way.
Did you see that video about the guy that jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge and he survived?
No.
And he was bipolar, right? And he before he jumped, he's bipolar, so he believed like everybody was against him in his life. So like everybody was trying to do something to him, and that's why he tried to kill himself. But then he jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge and survived. And after that, that's when he did that video of explaining like his whole life and his struggles. And now he's becoming an inspiration. You know, a lot of people don't get a second chance like that guy. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that guy, he says he still struggles with being bipolar, but you know, he's choosing to live a better life than he did
He's choosing
before
to
he
take
jumped on.
that and turn it into something that, I mean, I feel that we're all here, dude, and we all have a gift that the universe gives it. It's like, you gonna use it, or are you gonna be afraid, or are you gonna deny yourself of it? It's up to you. But and even the bad things about us, I think every person that I've met, and let's just say just in fighting in general, best fighters that I've ever met, dude, they're fucking crazy. They got something screw loose in them. But I think you have to have that. I think you have to have that if you're going to be standing in a cage almost naked, you know, and fighting in front of a bunch of people that don't know you, you know.
For real.
There has to be not a screw loose, but like something, you know, that makes you different, makes you unique, you know.
It's that extreme confidence too. Like let's talk about Conor McGregor, man. Like he went from in a certain, like a less than 2 year span, I think. He went from basically an unknown fighter in the world. He was known in Europe, but basically
Yeah.
unknown in the world, right? To becoming a double world champion in the UFC, a world superstar, and then going on to fighting Floyd Mayweather, one of the greatest boxers ever in history,
With
right?
the 0-0 boxing record on
And
top of that.
yeah, on top of that,
You fight the
that
greatest
is
boxer in the
like
world with
he
no history.
mentally, he is one of the mentally, he's one of the strongest people that has probably ever competed in combat sports. In my belief, I'm not even a Conor McGregor fan, but I believe that he has some mental gene in his brain where he can go to any location, even though he might not win, but he will compete and he will live in that moment at that
Yeah.
time. And
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, yeah, exactly. Sorry, what were you say?
and you know, like fighters need that. You know, if you could be physically gifted, athletically gifted, and you probably seen it yourself. Like you've seen some guys that, man, they have every gift, they do everything right. You know, in the gym, they're fucking monsters. But then when they get out there in front of that crowd, like you said, naked, titties out, they can't perform. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I think, and I think it's because people, they don't visualize being in there. They don't visualize going over the fight in their mind. And what happens is that your body's not prepared. You know, your body's prepared, but once you go there and you realize, like, oh shit, this is the moment. People want out. You know, that never made sense to me. Like you know, especially coming up, I had seen all sorts of different guys, you know, when I was an amateur, you know, watching how they prepare backstage and how they go. And I'd see would watch guys who get so nervous and they don't want to be in there, but then it's like, oh, fuck it, last minute. And yet they're still good. And there'd be guys that are super confident back there and they're like, yeah, dude, I got this in the bag. And then you can see they got that face like deer in the headlights the moment that they're out there. And it's, yeah, man, it's a trip to think that like, that some of these guys can be so gifted, but something like mentally just doesn't click when they're in there. I mean, I believe it's just some people too, when they enter in fighting, they enter it for the wrong reasons. They enter it to either, you know, launch them into some other career or to do this or do that. And the unfortunate thing for them is that when a guy like me or a guy like Tommy or a lot of these dudes where, dude, I'm just here for the violence. I like fighting. You
You're
know,
there to
I
eat
love
some
it.
lunch. That's what you're there to
Yeah,
do.
man. There's nowhere else in the world I'd rather be than in that cage. You know, I think about it. Like we were talking about all this freedom of choice and all that. I have to train 6-7 weeks of hard training every day, 3 to 4 hours, you know, 5 to 6 times a week. You know, making sure my diet's right, making sure I'm stretching, making sure my mind is right. And then for all that, and I get to do what I want to do for 15 minutes. I can fully express myself, and there's nowhere else in society that allows me to do that now. So fuck yeah, I want to be in there. That's where I want to be, man. That's my home. You
I
know, it's like,
remember. Go ahead. Go ahead.
oh no, what are you gonna say?
I remember you were saying in the last time you were on, you were working with somebody like a mental coach. Are you still
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
that?
Yeah. I haven't talked to him lately because he's been so busy with a couple of his other fighters right now. But like I don't know if he wants me to say who it is exactly. But anyways, all of them had like phenomenal. Like Jordan, he works with Jordan Watson. You ever follow him, a Yokow champion, and Liam Hitman the Harrison. They're both Yokow champions right now. Also held belts here in Lumpini. I think one of the few foreigners that held the titles. Anyways, these guys just came off a phenomenal performance. I believe he's also was doing something with Darren Till, who just knocked out Cowboy Cerrone. But fortunately, it was enough. Yeah, the guy's name's Vinnie Shoreman. I think he was on Joe Rogan podcast.
Oh yeah, I heard that name before. You mentioned him last time, and then I heard it on Rogan, and I was like, oh shit, I think that's who Javier is working with. This dude got some big time dudes right there in this corner.
I was fortunate enough to come in contact with him about 5 years ago. Like when I first came out here 5 years ago. No, I think it'd be 3 years ago. But I came in contact with him because I met Jordan and Liam here while they were training Muay Thai here in Bangkok. And through a mutual friend, I got in contact with him because at the moment in my MMA career, I had just left firefighting that year, and things just did not pan out, dude. Like I saved up all my money, burned through it, and trying to get a professional fight in the States, and especially in California, is freaking hard. I did not think it would be that hard, but I did 3 fight camps back to back, each of them being 8 weeks. So I mean, what is that? That's almost 6 months of your life with nothing to show for it because every opponent would back out last week. And dude, like mentally, I mean, like as you're preparing yourself to mentally just to be constantly shut down like that, I just felt like I had hit a low point in my life, and I was just in this rut. And I had heard him talk about Joe Schilling, and I had watched that fight with Joe Schilling against who's the Canadian guy. You know what I'm talking about? They did 3 rounds, man, and then they went to a 4th round.
Was that Simon Marcus?
Yes, that's the fight, dude. I had watched that fight, and I had heard that he was working with Vinnie, and like I was like, oh, like he's friends with a couple mutual guys. Hey, dude, do you think like I'm in a bad spot right now? Do you think you put me in contact with him? And yeah, dude, I worked with him that year. He got me out of that rut, and next thing you know, man, like here we are. I think definitely it helps out, especially in like look, we were talking about Conor McGregor, and the mental side of it is extremely important. I think once you get to a certain level of physicality and understanding of techniques, then it becomes a mental game. And then are you mentally prepared for it? Because my body's ready. My body's been training to do this for 10 plus years now. Is my mind in the right place? What's been going on outside of my life? Or have I been visualizing the fight? These things that come up. And yeah, man, I think working with him has helped me out significantly. You can see it from my performances. I got 3 first-round finishes, all just devastating these guys. And I don't think this one's going to be any different.
Yeah, let's talk about your opponent, Mehdi how do you say his name? Harry?
Bagari, I think.
Bagari? Yeah.
Yeah.
Bagari. What do you know about him?
I know that he is the wrestling coach at Monarchy MMA. It looks like from
in Singapore, right?
No, in Malaysia.
Oh, Malaysia.
Yeah. I think KL. So we agreed to meet at a catch weight just because he can't make 77 kgs. So we agreed to meet at, originally it was 81, but I guess, I don't know if there was miscommunication or if he can't make the weight, but he requested 82. So I agreed to it. And,
that's middleweight, right?
Almost, yeah.
Almost, right?
That's what I agreed. Yeah, that's what I agreed to meet him at. Whatever, man, it's fine because I had three opponents before him back out. One guy wanted $4,000 to fight me. So, they said no. Well, I thought it was kind of flattering that was worth that much, but yeah, dude. I mean, so I think with this win, because a lot of people have been saying that, like, oh, you need a challenge, you need this, you need that. I think this is the perfect thing for it because I'll be fighting up a little bit heavy, or fighting a guy who's going to be heavier, but he's cutting down to a weight that he's never cut down to. And him requesting to have 1 more kg tells me that he mentally isn't quite there. Because if you can't lose an extra 2 pounds to meet somebody at a catch weight, then how are you going to make it through an entire fight? How are you going to be there when I'm pressing you, when I'm hitting you, when I'm going to force you to wrestle the way I wrestle? Because I mean, I don't know exactly his background in wrestling is. I watched some of his wrestling matches, but this ain't wrestling. This is fucking MMA. And and what I think I have an advantage over a lot of guys is that there's two thoughts, right? You have the specialists where these guys specialize in whatever their discipline is, and then branch into MMA, and then you got the guys who did it all. But unlike the guys who did it all, they just kind of did a little bit of wrestling, do a little bit of that. Dude, I competed in high school wrestling, made a varsity team my only year. Then I pursued years and years of jiu-jitsu, which is the backbone of my thing. I came to Thailand, trained Muay Thai, fought a Muay Thai fight. I fought in every major discipline in MMA before making this big leap and becoming a professional, because I wanted to have the confidence that I could stand and bang with somebody, I can grapple with them, and I can wrestle them. And that's the confidence that I have going in there. So I think whatever he throws at me, like I said, I've come from wrestling camps, dude. I have Tommy. I have freaking Rustam, dude. This guy wrestles tigers, man, for fun. I don't know what's going on in Russia, man, but these guys are nuts. But if I can hang with those guys, I don't think there's anything this guy can do to me that I'm not prepared for. You know, and like I said, in watching some of his fights, he has a couple of tells. I mean, last year he fought, I guess, in November, so he's had quite some time to train. But I think those type of habits don't go away, and once they're recognized, I think I'm gonna capitalize on them in a spectacular fashion. Man. I'm really seeing another highlight finish. You know.
Well, you know, like there was rumors that I guess there are rumors that you were gonna fight in a title fight at FMD 15, but then that didn't work out. Is it because one of the opponents that was supposed to be, you know, put against you, they backed out, and that's why the title fight did not go through? Or
no, I think it was just that they couldn't find the right guy, and then me being 3-0, I think the guys at FMD just want me to have a bigger record before representing as their welterweight champion, which is completely understands as they're trying to build their brand, and I want to help build it too. Like, I love fighting for FMD, like training, you know. Dude, it's like, it ain't your daddy's MMA, dude. It's not UFC. It's not any of these things. It's a party, and you're seeing some crazy fights with dudes from all over the place, man. And it's a fun show to be a part of, dude. Like at this one, we're you know, it's like the theme is like one of my favorite like movies growing up of being a warrior. So it's just like, it's kind of fun to be a part of that. And yeah, dude, it's just I'm just blessed, man.
yeah,
You know?
FMD is one of the best shows you could ever go to. Luckily, in my lifetime, hopefully I could get to some more shows, but I've been to one.
Yeah, man.
And, you know, I was there at your knockout, man. So
hell yeah,
I was
man.
there when it was like your coming out party, right? Like that knockout.
Yeah, hell yeah.
You know, so it was fun to be, you know, a part of your history. You know what I mean?
Thanks,
like,
man. Yeah, it was fun.
And even like hanging out, you know, even afterwards and stuff, and even with Mayhem Miller and all those guys.
That was a good time, dude. Just like sitting here, just raging with Mayhem Miller and John. Dude, John like singing his ass off at that club, dude. It was hilarious.
For real. That shit
man,
was
a good
crazy.
Night, bro.
Before I let you go, I kind of want to talk about, you know, doing those promotional videos. Like, was that, you know, that's something new, right? Like, you haven't been doing promotional videos. How was that experience?
Completely new, dude. Like I said, the fucking theme for end of 2017, 2018 is be comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's something completely new to me. I'm trying to work at it. I'm trying to get better. It's part of the job. It's part of what I got to do. And anytime I take on a new man, I do it to the best of my ability. So, you know, trying to get more reps in with that and be more comfortable on camera. So that's the start, you know. And that's what, like John said, he's like, well, this organization is for you guys to learn how the game is done. So when you get to the big show, you're already prepared. You know?
So what is your goals? What is your goal? Like, where do you see yourself by the end of 2018?
See, by 2018, dude, that I want to be able to say that maybe I've either competed or won an EBI tournament, just to show how I think, dude, my grappling is on another level as of late. You know, I won 2 major tournaments out here in Asia. I want to go back to the States. I'm going back after this fight and training at 10th Planet in Los Angeles at the headquarters.
You got to
train at Alliance. Yeah, man. And then I'm going to go back up to Oregon, train with those guys, and hopefully I can get in like up there in Portland. They have those Submission Underground tournaments. I would love to get on that show and just demonstrate to people that I'm not only just a good MMA fighter, but I'm a effective grappler and just a general martial artist. But when grappling wise, that's where I see myself, at least trying to get into big events. MMA wise, dude, hopefully I'll have 7 fights by the end of, or hopefully be 7-0 by the end of next year, and be fighting either Bellator, or I would love to fight for Road FC, love to fight for any of these organizations here in Asia, just because I feel like this is where my fan base is. This is where I love training out of Thailand, man, and I would love to continue to do it. So yeah, any of these ONE FC, if they'll take me. I mean, especially now that Ben Askren's gonna retire here, I think everybody else.
You think he's running from you?
No way.
You think he sees you, Javier?
No.
I think he sees you. I think he sees you creeping out the grass right now. Like peeking out, like, hey, I'm coming for you.
Well, a lot of my style comes from him. The similar background of folk style wrestling. That's where I come from too. I mean, probably haven't seen it in my fight much. I mean, the last one, yeah, you saw it, just learning how to leg ride a guy and keep him down in a tough position. But yeah, you take a lot of inspiration from him, and that's the guy I'm trying to be. I consider him the greatest welterweight in the world. I mean, I feel super sad that we never got to see him in the UFC to see what he would do.
Yeah.
But technically wise, I think he is the best. And now that he's retiring, looking at the ONE FC roster for welterweight, I think I can beat every guy on that roster easily.
What about your first fight, Gary Tonin?
Yeah, I take Gary.
Hey, Gary.
I'll play some footies with him, man.
Hey, he has no professional fights. He just got signed to one championship. He's a welterweight, right? Well, he's not a big welterweight, but he is a welterweight, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a good matchup for the future. For you.
I would gladly, just as somebody who's inspired by him, dude, because like I said, you draw inspiration from a lot of people. I draw a lot of inspiration from that guy. You can tell anybody in class I use a lot of his movements. I've been studying him for years. And just on a jiu-jitsu level wise, I think I have the answers just because I've been striking. Not only have I been doing jiu-jitsu, and I feel like I've been great at it, I've been doing Muay Thai. I've been doing a lot of boxing as of late with Paul, and my hands are getting strong, man. My hands are, if I touch you, it's gonna hurt.
I seen those hooks, man. I seen those hooks.
Oh yeah, dude. Now I got power behind my hooks with my straight shots. And just getting real dangerous, man.
I see those powerful hooks you've been working on.
So yeah, man. I mean, like I said, it's just MMA is a different animal, and I'm gonna take that guy out of his A game. If jiu-jitsu is where he feels comfortable, all right then, man. I'm not gonna play that game with you. I'm gonna see how you do Muay Thai. I'm gonna see how you do some boxing. Can you keep me down if you take me down? Let's see. How are you going to do with a cage, especially with universal rules, man? You can do all sorts of stuff. It benefits me in so many ways, man.
For sure. What about that combat jiu-jitsu?
Oh, yeah, I do that too.
I think that's perfect for you, man.
Yeah, dude, stopping slapping guys that left and right, man. Oh, you got that heel hook? Just give him a swat right across the face, dude. Like, how does that work now?
For sure, man.
But yeah,
well, I'm gonna let you go, Javier. Like you're doing the damn thing. I think you're one of the biggest, prospects coming out of Southeast Asia, coming out of Asia as a welterweight. To me, I think you should be, if you win your next fight, you should be on the next season of Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series, man. I think that'd be
awesome, man.
That'd be dope, man, for you to go over there and shine in that arena in the States, and and go to EBI, and like you said, show your grappling or whatever. There's so many opportunities out there, I think, for you in the future.
Oh, thanks, man.
It's really endless, man.
Coming from me too.
Yeah, it's endless, man. Like it's the reason why I say those things is because, I've seen you do what you do, man. And you have it. You have the confidence, you have the abilities, and it's great to see you kind of like grow.
Cool, man. I mean? Thank you very much, dude. It means a lot. I know you get to meet all sorts of different fighters and people. For you to say that, dude, means a lot, man. Really,
for sure, man. For sure. So, well, everybody listening, you could catch Javier at Insanity Nightclub.
Sukhumvit Soy 11, November 4th.
November 4th, Saturday, Halloween weekend. Get your tickets. If you don't got tickets, hit up Javier. Facebook or Instagrams
Facebook,
or
Instagram, Twitter, whatever. Also, guys, if for some reason you can't make it and you want to support me, not only am I fighting, but Tommy Hayden's fighting for my gym, as well as Dechanan, who I consider probably the greatest Thai MMA fighter out there, dude. That guy is. Have you watched
Death's
it? Man?
Touch?
Yeah, they call him Dechpool.
Yeah, Dechpool. Yeah.
Dude, I love watching that. I love sparring with him, and I love just watching him do what he does, dude. He has a fucking dope style for Muay Thai, for MMA. And now that he knows some grappling, man, even for me, I outweigh that guy by probably 20 kilos. I have a hard time keeping him down. And,
Yo, that's a whole nother podcast we can do, is talk about the Thai guys that already have legit striking, that are learning the ground game right now at all the different gyms, like your gym, gyms in Phuket, you know, everywhere around Thailand that are coming up. And that's the new wave, I think, of fighters.
Yeah, dude, I'm super excited because these guys that know the Muay Thai, and now they know a little bit of ground. I think we're going to see some exciting things come out of it, man. But yeah, like, come out and support us if you guys can. November 4th, Sukhumvit 11, FMD 15. If you can't make it to the show, you can support us by going to Full Metal Dojo page on Facebook, and then you can click like on it, and you'll get the live stream on November 4th. I think for everybody back home in Western states, it's about 9 a.m. Sunday.
Oh, for real? 9 a.m. Sunday? That's perfect, man. You wake up, get your little coffee, you know, and get you some little, you know, face punching going on.
Hell yeah,
before you go on your.
What better way to start your Sunday, you know?
Before you go to church.
Before church, before football. Awesome, dude. Great way to start.
All right, man. Thanks for your time, Javi.
Thanks, dude. It was a fun podcast, man.
For sure. We're going to do it again, man. You know, you're one of my favorite guys to talk to.
Oh, thanks, man. I might be, after the fight, I might make a quick stop to Korea, dude, so maybe we can link up or something.
Oh, for sure, man. Yeah. You know I'm in the capital. You know what's up.
Yeah, man. All right, man. Let's make it happen. As it gets closer, I'll let you know.
For sure, man. See ya.
Right on. All right, later, brother.